Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. And if you're a true General Hospital fan, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get started with today's video. The General Hospital, GH, recap for Monday, July 13th, reports that Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, and Danny Morgan, Asher and Tonizin, had a touching reunion, while newcomer Tristan Roberts, Dean Geyer, arrived in Port Charles as the ABC drama celebrated its 16,000th episode. In reality, there were numerous Easter eggs throughout the show where the number 16 was mentioned, which was entertaining for viewers. With that said, let's get right into the drama. The show began with a man on an airplane flying to PC who was also reading Lucy Coe's Lynn Herring, Travel Guide to Port Charles. In the end, it was Tristan, and in an unexpected twist, Jason was sitting next to him on the flight. Jason appeared serious and different from the last time fans saw him. Jason wasn't himself, as seen by his different hairstyle and dramatic weight reduction. In addition, Jason experienced memories to his time in the Jakarta WSB prison, as well as a nightmare about being beaten up by a guard. During the journey, Tristan informed Jason that a car would be waiting for him when the plane landed. Tristan was clearly invited to accompany Jason back to Port Charles, but no explanation was offered. Later, Tristan appeared at the nurse's station, where he presented himself to Elizabeth, Liz Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst. The good nurse welcomed the hospital's new surgeon to the General Hospital. Liz became embroiled in a little disagreement between Tracy Quartermaine, Jane Elliott, and Laura Collins, Jeannie Francis, while the two were in a hospital office. Tracy was angry when Laura proposed Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard, as the new hospital board member. In fact, she reminded her that the mob boss had murdered A.J. Quartermaine, last portrayed by Sean Cannon. Laura defended her pal, reminding Tracy that he had lately helped bring down Jen Sidwell, Carlo Rota. Unfortunately, Sonny intervened during their fight and chose to withdraw his name from the voting process. Liz ran into Sonny as he exited the hospital and learned what had happened. The nurse returned to the office, Sonny in tow, and defended all of the good reasons why he should be on the board. Sonny would be an excellent member of the board, from his gifts to the hospital to his support at the nurses' ball and his habit of discreetly delivering food to the staff every Friday. Tracy then mourned, promising that she would not vote for him, but would not oppose his nomination. Sonny agreed to run for a position on the board, and he and Tracy even exchanged handshakes at the end. On the other side of the hospital, Carly Spencer, Laura Wright, ran across Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna. The two argued once more about Brennan bringing Jocelyn Jacks, Eden McCoy, into the WSB. With that said, Brennan admitted that he had affections for Carly and regretted recruiting her daughter. However, he also stated that his thoughts about Joss making an excellent WSB agent were correct, since she was instrumental in taking Ross Cullum, Andrew Hawks, down. Brennan poked fun at Carly by apologizing for what he had done and how she thought she could only rely on Valentine Cassadine, James Patrick Stewart. Carly went to Valentine's defense, saying that he risked his freedom for Joss and Charlotte Cassadine, Bluesy Burke, which was far more than Brennan ever did. Brennan informed Carly that Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, had returned to PC, gently reminding her of her new boyfriend's relationship with the super spy. Speaking of Anna and Valentine, they were caught up in her condominium. Valentine informed her that he was a free man and stated that he was aware she was being held captive at Windermere. Peter August, Wes Ramsey, appeared behind Valentine after he established that Anna was not insane about her hostage predicament, and the hallucination revealed that Anna had been correct all along. Valentine realized his ex was distracted by something behind him, but she recovered by bringing up Cassius Faison's, Ryan Pavey, impersonation of Nathan West. As Valentine left, the two had a long embrace. After he left, Peter appeared and warned Anna not to let Valentine distract her from her mission, to which Anna replied, "I know." On Bobby's, General Hospital recaps for the July 13th episode reveal that Lucas Jones, Van Hansis, and Britt Westbourne, Kelly Thibault, caught up after the doctor picked her up at the police station. Everything was okay until Britt went upstairs to her room, where she realized she had concealed a key. Unfortunately, Carly changed the locks, which triggered Britt's meltdown. The incident prompted Lucas and Britt to begin squabbling. Lucas said, "I liked you better when you thought you were dying, and went away in a huff. Brooke Lynn Quartermaine, Amanda Setton, and Harrison Chase, Josh Swickard, continued their story from the previous episode on Friday, July 10th. BLQ stated how upset she felt every time Chase raced to Willow Kane's Caitlin McMullen side when she needed him. Chase said that it was simply the proper thing to do, and unlike Brooke Lynn, Willow had never had the support of a huge family. BLQ mentioned that she needed him, especially now that they were expanding their family, and Chase admitted that he never imagined that aiding Willow would harm their marriage. He apologized for his conduct, while BLQ expressed regret for relapsing to her old ways. According to General Hospital recaps from Monday's episode, BLQ offered to tell the police that she attempted to frame Willow, but Chase encouraged her to keep it quiet. After all, tampering with evidence in Jordan Ashford's Tanisha Harper crash is a crime, and his wife may face penalties. Giovanni Palmieri, Giovanni Mazza, collided with Rocco Falconeri, Finn Carr, at the Metro Court Pool, despite their promise to stop concealing information. BLQ continues to deny being the other driver in Jordan's accident. Unfortunately, it wasn't a positive encounter because Rocco made it apparent that he was still upset with his older brother for running to Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, months ago. Charlotte and Danny were present, and the blonde attempted to reconcile with her brother and friend, but that also failed. The brothers from different mothers got into a full-fledged argument because Danny insisted that Rocco should have confessed the truth about Cullum's shooting so that the WSB would release his father. Danny stormed off, and Charlotte told Rocco that she wished he had told them the truth about the incident sooner. She also tried to convey Rocco Danny's point of view, that he was only missing his father and wanted to help him. Rocco was irritated that Charlotte was always siding with Danny, so he fled the pool area. As the show ended, the camera turned to Danny heading up to the Q boathouse, only to find Jason on the dock. The two had a great long embrace. According to General Hospital spoilers, Monday's episode marks the start of an eventful week in Port Charles, as July sweeps continue to dazzle. The sun dipped low over the horizon as the private jet flew through the clouds toward Port Charles, carrying two men whose arrivals would send ripples through the town like stones skipping across Spoon Lake. Jason Morgan sat straight in his seat, his face etched with the shadows of months spent in the dark. A slight bruise remained on the bridge of his nose, a souvenir from the WSB's black site in Jakarta. A mysterious stranger next to him browsed through the pages of Lucy Coe's travel guide to Port Charles, his Australian accent light as he made casual conversation with a flight attendant. The attendant leaned in, her tone professional and friendly. "Can I get you anything, sir?" Jason replied with a stiff nod. "I'm fine. Thank you." His thoughts, however, were elsewhere. Soon, he'd have everything he needed: freedom, family, and the opportunity to repair what the WSB had attempted to destroy. He closed his eyes briefly, only for memories to rush back unbidden. The cold, concrete floor of his cell, the echo of boots. Guards dragged him in and threw him down like wasted goods. Pain blurred the border between truth and nightmare. As the jet began to descend, he startled awake, sweat beading on his brow. His buddy, the man who had discreetly introduced himself earlier as Tristan Roberts, cast a glance over. 16 hours in the air. You must be glad to be heading home. Tristan's tone was calm and unwavering, exuding the confidence of a man who had seen his fair share of the world's underbelly, but chose to operate above it. According to the paperwork, he was a surgeon by trade, with a history as mysterious as the fog coming in off the port from Port Charles. Jason looked at him for a second. This wasn't a chance. Tristan had secured his release and arranged for transportation, and now he sat as his silent guide back into a life interrupted. "Yeah," Jason finally said, his voice gravelly from inactivity. "Home." Tristan extended his hand as the wheels touched down. "A car is waiting for you. Take it wherever you need to go." Jason grabbed it tightly. "What about you?" Tristan inquired, his smile intriguing. "I promised I'd get you here. Enjoy the rest of your life, okay?" Their handshake lingered just a second longer than required, a nonverbal acknowledgement of shared secrets and unspoken debts. Then Tristan vanished into the terminal, blending among the crowd like a ghost with a goal. Meanwhile, at General Hospital, the 16,000th episode of the long-running drama unfolded as usual, with intrigue, alliances, and heartbreaks. Elizabeth Baldwin stood at the nurse's station, holding a clipboard and directing the bustle of another hectic shift. Laura Collins has made headlines with her most recent proposal, proposing Sonny Corinthos to fill an available position on the hospital board. Tracy Quartermaine was less than pleased, her caustic tongue piercing through the conference room air as she confronted Laura about her appalling decision. "Sonny? On the board? Have you lost your mind, Laura?" Tracy's voice was dripping with contempt, but Laura stood fast, emphasizing Sonny's contributions and the importance of varied perspectives in hospital governance. Sonny came shortly after and was greeted warmly by Liz. "Laura's idea is brilliant," she told him with serious eyes. Despite his delicate relationship with the hospital and the town, Sonny carried himself with quiet purpose. The board meeting loomed, and Tracy attempted to intimidate him with veiled threats and sharp recollections of previous incidents. Nonetheless, Sonny stayed firm, demonstrating his fortitude after years of negotiating the hazy borders between legal commerce and Port Charles's deeper shadows. Elsewhere in the hospital, emotions ran much higher. Britt Westbourne, who had recently been freed from custody and had a clean bill of health with no Huntington's diagnosis hanging over her like a guillotine, sat with her brother Lucas at Bobby's Cafe. Their reunion had begun with hope, a fresh start following her ordeal. But accusations flew as old wounds were revived. Britt yelled, her voice shaking with the weight of treachery and terror. Lucas attempted to argue with her, but the argument evolved, severing their newfound relationship before it could fully heal. Britt's collapse was searing, a reminder that freedom does not heal the wounds of mistrust and loss. Carly Spencer was caught off guard in a heated exchange with Jack Brennan. Valentine Cassadine lurked in the background, his reconnection with Anna Devane adding layers of complication. Anna, ever the investigator, received a cryptic warning that set her on edge, prompting her to delve deeper into the WSB's schemes and the circumstances that had ripped Jason away. Valentine provided solace, rekindling their bond in the midst of uncertainty, but trust remained a fragile commodity in Port Charles. Back at the Quartermaine estate, family dynamics transformed in subtle but fundamental ways. Brooklyn Quartermaine and Harrison Chase finally expressed their complaints. Bielke accused Chase of putting Willow's wants before their marriage, her voice shaking with uncertainty. Chase revealed his desire to help yet reiterated his love, resulting in apologies and a tentative reunion. The Quartermaine estate, which was sometimes a hotbed of plans and secrets, briefly felt like a haven of healing. As the afternoon wore on, Danny Morgan strolled down to the Quartermaine boathouse, his boyish face shadowed by the upheaval of recent months. His father had been gone for far too long, abducted by the WSB, and considered lost to a system that cared little about justice when power was at stake. Danny had struggled in his own way, confronting mysteries and demanding answers, even as remorse and resentment grew over Rocco's role in Jason's disappearance. The weight of it all pressed on the boy's shoulders as he kicked at the pebbles on the path. Then he spotted him. A figure stands on the dock, silhouetted against the glistening sea, looking out at the famous Port Charles skyline. "Dad." Danny's voice broke, astonishment giving way to tremendous excitement. Jason pivoted, his expression softening in a way few had ever seen. Danny launched into a run, hurling himself into his father's embrace. They hugged tightly, the kind of embrace that bridged months of distance, anxiety, and uncertainty. Jason hugged his son tightly, mumbling reassurances. "I'm really home, kid. I'm not going anywhere." Danny's eyes welled up with tears as he buried his face in Jason's shoulder, the emotional reunion serving as a cathartic high point of the milestone episode. The father and son remained there for what seemed like an age, the Quartermaine launch rolling softly beneath them, as if the entire town sighed in relief. Jason's return was not only personal, but also struck shockwaves across Port Charles. Carly would soon learn about it, her world tilting once more as old loves and loyalties returned. Sonny, now potentially influential at the hospital, would have to navigate his delicate friendship with Jason under new power dynamics. Elizabeth, greeting Tristan, had no idea how this new surgeon's entrance would affect the man she had once loved. Tristan Roberts, with his pleasant attitude and hidden depths, introduced himself effortlessly at the nurse's station. Dr. Tristan Roberts, new surgeon on staff. Liz smiled, unaware of the secrets he carried. Welcome to General Hospital. The day was not only Jason's homecoming, but also a watershed moment for the serial. Whispers of WSB bargains formed by Jocelyn's bold bargaining floated in the air. Jason had taken the blame for Rocco in order to keep the boy safe, enduring torment and isolation. Now free, questions arose. How would he reintegrate? What secrets did Tristan keep, and why had he specifically accompanied Jason? Was their encounter purely coincidental, or was it part of a broader plot involving the Cassadines, the WSB, and old vendettas? In the hours that followed, Port Charles was alive with expectancy. Anna pressed for the truth about her own captive experiences, connecting them to Jason's tragedy. Britt's allegations resonated, and her new beginning crumbled beneath the weight of unresolved love for Lucas and the place that had both saved and tortured her. Laura's daring move with Sonny's board position shocked traditionalists like Tracy, but it heralded a new era of unusual friendships. Jason wandered the familiar trails of the estate later, Danny by his side, catching up on lost time. Stories of Scout's development, Jake's life, and the never-ending Quartermain crises flowed. But behind the warmth, Jason's mind was racing with plans. He was back, yet the perils that had drawn him away remained like ghosts. Tristan, adjusting into his new work at GH, chatted pleasantries with colleagues, his eyes sharply focused on everything. A new surgeon with a strange travel companion, Port Charles had witnessed enough coincidences to know better. As night fell, the town braced for the aftermath. Carly lambasted Brennan in a heated exchange, her emotions raw from the Valentine situation. Sonny solidified his position by shaking hands with a hesitant Tracy in an uneasy truce. The 16,000th episode ended with Jason and Danny hugging, a light of optimism in the midst of the drama, but the actual tale had only just begun. Families were repaired, secrets threatened to be revealed, and newcomers like Tristan Roberts entered the stage, promising conflict, romance, and the unpredictable turns that defined life in Port Charles. Later, Jason stood alone on the dock, with the water lapping softly. He had endured captivity, torture, and betrayal. Now, with his son in his arms and old friends nearby, he faced his most difficult challenge yet: rebuilding. Tristan's words echoed, "Enjoy the rest of your life." For Jason Morgan, that meant defending what was most important, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, the mysterious doctor perused patient files at GH with a faint smile on his lips. His visit was no coincidence, and his link to Jason suggested deeper ties, perhaps with the WSB, former allies, or something even more personal. The town slept restlessly that night, oblivious of the impending storm. Britt tossed in her bed, rehearsing her outburst with Lucas. Anna and Valentine had a quiet moment, their reconnection a frail anchor. Sonny considered his new job, where power and redemption entwined. Danny slept easily in the Quartermain house for the first time in months, knowing his father was finally home. Port Charles commemorated 16,000 moments of love, loss, and legacy. Jason's return with Tristan at his side was the ideal milestone, a reminder that no matter how deep one went into darkness, the pull of home, family, and second chances could illuminate the path back. But in a region where secrets festered and relationships moved like the tides, peace was only ephemeral. Tomorrow would bring explanations, confrontations, and possibly more threats. For the time being, however, hope reigned supreme in the silence that followed the jet's arrival and the emotional dockside embrace. In the most recent developments in Port Charles, tensions rose as unexpected alliances and unexplained arrivals raised fresh concerns for numerous locals. One of the most surprising moments occurred when Jason found himself back to Port Charles under unexpected circumstances, accompanied by the intriguing Tristan Roberts. The strange individual piqued interest right away, as little was known about his motivations or linked to the surrounding events. Jason's comeback was far from ordinary. After spending time away and coping with several personal issues, he appeared more cautious than before. Those who knew him best instantly realized that something big had occurred during his absence. His behavior suggested that he was carrying fresh information and possibly new fears, which may have serious consequences for his family and friends. Tristan Roberts emerged as an intriguing character. Calm, observant, and somewhat secretive, he appeared to have knowledge that others did not. His decision to accompany Jason back to Port Charles sparked many doubts. Was he a friend, an ally, or someone with a secret agenda? The question regarding his character immediately sparked speculation among Jason's close associates. Meanwhile, the citizens of Port Charles dealt with their own challenging problems. Relationships remained strained as secrets and misunderstandings threatened to separate loved ones. Several characters found themselves faced with difficult decisions that could change the path of their lives. Jason's return inevitably had an impact on many people, particularly those who had long-standing relationships with him. Friends and family members expressed relief, anxiety, and interest. While some were relieved to see him safe, others sought answers about his sudden disappearance and the unusual circumstances surrounding his return.